What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel with me. It's a man you've ever seen on this channel before. This is the fourth time that he's been on the channel. I'm always honored to talk to this gentleman. Always a class act. And right now, the last time, the first time we talked about his aspirations, as he climbed the mountain in Revolution Pro Wrestling, and then previous time the next time we talked after that, we also talked about some further aspirations. Then the next time we talked about some other aspirations. And it seems like things have finally come true for this man after years of hard work, putting in the time and the effort. He is the RevPro Undisputed British Heavyweight Champion. This is Michael Oku, aka the OJMO. What's going on, boss man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Thanks for having me. Hey, number four, I feel like we've tried our very best to spread it out, make sure that there's at least something that happens, a reason for us to do these interviews. So, but number four, I feel like that's one of that has to be like close to a record for the
Yeah,
people you've interviewed.
you you
Surely,
you you
surely.
you are for sure the person I've interviewed the most. But it's like I do think it's always cool like how we always like space it out. Like it's always like there's the third and the second time we had did one when you had the match against Osprey. They had those rave reviews, and then we ended up running into each other in Dallas, Texas. That's the
Yeah.
only reason why those two
So we
interviews
had to.
collided. Yeah, those two
Yeah.
interviews had to happen like that. But this go around, you just defeated the Great O'Con for the undisputed British Heavyweight Championship, man. Like, first things foremost, I gotta ask you, like, just talk to me about how it feels to be the heavyweight champion of Revolution Pro Wrestling. I know even years ago we talked about the idea of this, the possibility of this, and you of course you have stayed the course, man. You grinded the way through, like, and you made it happen, and it seems like just all your hard work is paid off. I know it has to be like a very like surreal feeling, and it's just a great feeling overall to know that, man, I put in the work, and like this wasn't like it was like some overnight thing. Like you stayed the course and took some years, man, but you finally made it happen, bro. And it feels like I think it's probably the most important thing of the element, like when you're talking about it from a like just a storyline aspect, if you will, that it feels natural. It doesn't feel like something like, hey, we're just gonna put the title on Michael Oku today. Like it feels like this was like a long time coming, but it took the long road there, and now we're finally here at the destination, and it feels like this was supposed to happen.
Exactly that. I think that's what makes it feel really special. The fact that it wasn't okay. There's a lot of people who they've either won the heavyweight title, and that's the first title they won, or maybe they won something else, and then it's straight to the heavyweight title. But for me, it's nearly like I ticked every box in terms of every stop
Yeah.
I made on the way to getting the heavyweight title, where there were times where, I felt like, it just wasn't going to happen. I just had to think that my role was to be like kind of the face of the company, but not the face of the company, just um, secretly represent them, but not have the top prize. That'll be reserved for other people. So there were moments where I was like, oh, well, if it happened, it'll be cool. That's me kind of thinking that it probably won't happen. So for it to finally be like, okay, here's the nod of approval. Here's the stamp. Here's the official title of heavyweight champ. And by doing it, it makes me the Grand Slam champion and saying that I've done everything in Rev Pro.
Mm.
That's what makes it really, really, really cool. Because again, like you said, I looked at the belt when I won it. You hear the reaction, and it just made me think, oh my gosh, it's actually happened. It's actually happened where I've made it to the point where like I'm at the pinnacle of Rev Pro, and people are happy that I am. And
Yeah.
and then it's and it's nearly like here's the start of a new chapter. Like here's like the beginning of a new chapter in a sense. So it's exciting to see where we go from here. But at the same time, living in the moment and smelling the roses, it feels unreal.
I'm about to say, and you actually ended the Great O'Con's winning streak. He was undefeated in the UK, right? Before you beat him. Like he
Yeah,
he
he
had
was
he
so
yeah.
zero losses for 5 years.
Damn.
My debut in Rev Pro was against the Great Okan, and it was about a 1 minute 30-second match,
Mm.
and it's just poetic. It's poetic of like, and that was in 2018, so that was kind of the start of his undefeated career in Rev Pro, and I have just an opportunity, and I think that's the one, the best example of like maximize your minutes or seconds in that case of like I was just a body. Andy just needed a body, and he booked me the day before because I was helping out in the middle of the day, set up the TV taping that he was doing. And he just like, "Are you good enough to be, beat up for 2 minutes?" I was like, "Yeah." And it was my goal to be to be the best, basically the best jobber possible for that role. And that was enough for him to be impressed to then try and give me further opportunities. And it really was from that one match that everything snowballed from there, and essentially to this moment where all the stars aligned, where the person with the undefeated streak is wrestling the guy who is has one more thing left to do in RevPro, which is win the heavyweight title. And it's the guy that he wrestled at York Hall in his debut. What's going to happen? So again, it's crazy that the stars aligned in a way that nobody would have even planned to have happen.
It's crazy because I'm pretty sure that only like elevated the crowd reaction when you did get the win, like knowing those in attendance and those that would later catch the show, like on the RevPro streaming service and stuff like that. That didn't stream live, did it? The RevPro show stream live, or did it?
It did.
It did stream live. Okay, so those that was watching
Yeah.
live, and those that ended up watching it later, and those in attendance, already knowing the story, like you having your debut match against Great O'Connor, and then him going on this undefeated streak, and then now that's the person you got to overcome to become world champion. I'm pretty sure that only elevated the crowd reaction and the emotion of the overall story when you finally did get the win. I'm pretty sure that was a cool moment.
So for the live crowd that were there in York Hall during the halftime break, the intermission, Gideon Gray, Great O'Connor's manager, comes out with like 5 minutes left to go of the interval. He comes out and he grabs a mic and he says, "Hey everybody, listen, it's independent wrestling. The show might overrun. I know you guys to miss your trains home, your transport home. I've got for you a spoiler for what's going to happen in the main event later tonight." And on the screen, he just plays my debut. He
Oh,
just plays the 2 minute squash for everyone to see. So like that. So even if you weren't there, if you didn't know it, we just like hit it over their head with you. Just like, this is what happened. This was his first match. Here it is from beginning to end.
yeah.
And then yeah, again, there's people who were in attendance at that debut and followed my journey, fans who followed my journey from day one. So they felt like it was a victory for themselves, I can imagine. And again, just people jumping for joy, screaming, just a loud noise, which is was what you asked for, what you dream of. When you dream of winning titles, you also dream of the noise more than anything. Not
Yeah.
just holding something gold.
Yeah.
It's the noise that you dream of. And so the fact that we got that, that's what's really, really cool about it.
I say, man, you got to have like that childhood moment. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're in the house, like wrestling your pillows and stuff, you hit the 1, 2, and the crowd just
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. But we did
that,
it. But we did it with real life people.
yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy,
Honestly.
man. But like, of course, you got the big win. But as I'm pretty sure as a champion, you can't just rest on your laurels, man. You have coming up October. I mean, it was August 26th. The Copper Box Arena, Revolution Pro Wrestling. You defending your title against Trent Seven. I got a follow up question for you after this. But just talk to me about the upcoming title defense, man. RevPro's. I think it's their biggest show to date. I believe the 11th anniversary. Big show. But like I want to definitely touch on that. But like just talk to me first about the upcoming title defense against Trent Seven.
Yeah, no, so Trent, he calls himself like the godfather of British wrestling.
Mm.
He is one of the people, one of the wrestlers that was hot during the hottest period of British independent wrestling, British strong style, of course, him, Pete and Tyler Bate. They were running things, and that's when I started in wrestling. I started in 2017. Oh, okay, I was crewing shows that they were all main eventing, and they were just like the popularity was incredible, crazy to see, and it still exists to this day. You know, he can be announced for a show, and he was announced for a show in Barcelona, and then it's definitely due to him that they did like record numbers, so that the name Trent Seven still holds weight. Uh, he obviously had his NXT run, tag title run. He also had a 5-star match as well while in NXT, and him being back in the fold on the independent scene, I see it as nothing but a plus. And
Mm.
of course, he wants to be on top, which is kind of where he left things. So him being like very strong style, one of the leaders of the boom of independent wrestling, former NXT UK guy coming up against me who held the fort while he was gone and brought things back up to a healthy state. There's a clash there. and there's some animosity there, definitely for sure.
Mm.
And then the fact that he took the belt, and I legitimately don't have the heavyweight belt, so
Oh,
there's more
you
animosity in that sense.
I think I saw that video on Twitter when he was like he ran out the venue and he like ran across the street with the with the championship.
Yeah, and he puts over a child, everything.
Yeah,
So I don't have the belt. He legit has the belt, and I'm just then that's the thing, and that's wrestling, isn't it? Like you think you reach the culmination of something, you think, and there's always another story, or there's always another mountain to climb. And it's like, okay, I finally won the belt, but I don't physically have it, and now
yeah.
I need to get it at the biggest stage that RevPro's ever done. So I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. He's obviously immensely talented, and we're gonna make sure that like we are one of the matches. We're competing with Will versus Shingo, but
Yeah.
we're gonna make sure that we're one of the matches that people leave being like, wow, what an incredible match.
I got so real quick. I do got I had a follow up question, but you had mentioned something that just came into my head, right? Yeah, you versus Trent. You feel like y'all should be the main event of the show?
Oof.
Talk to
Oh,
him. So you feel like you should be? I mean, because you, I mean, it's the World Championship. You
of
know,
course.
British Undisputed Heavyweight Championship. I know it's the distinction there, but it's under the same
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's under the same umbrella. But I mean, Ospreay versus Shingo, that's a high profile match. It definitely is. But it's not the first time we've seen this. Like, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna go out there and they're gonna smash it. But I'm pretty sure that you, as the newly crowned champion, feel, you know what I'm saying? Like, you should be closing the show.
That's of course, in theory,
Yeah, right. Okay,
the
okay.
British heavyweight champ, the title match should be last. It's the question of do I want to follow Will versus Shingo? But and that's honestly what it is. And it's an interesting thing because so this last York Hall show,
Uh,
I indeed followed Will Ospreay versus Leon Slater. And I don't mean like they were on like it was the first half main event and there was a break. It was like no, it was a 1-2 punch of like
yeah,
Will versus Leon Slater and then me versus the Great Okan. And at that time, I was like, yeah, this will work because what you don't want is like the fans to be like, no, we're leaving disappointed. We would have been on a higher note if Will was the main event. But I think because there were stakes, the stakes that were involved were so high for
mm,
this York Hall show, and they really, really wanted this title victory. And because that happened, it was okay for that to usurp Will versus Leon, which they had obviously done some build up to it. They've been building some things up, but I don't really think the fans were invested in terms of who won more than they were just to be like, wow, this is going to be a sick match.
yeah, yeah,
Having said that, having said that, for this Copperbox show, I think because we're going to have so many fans flying in from around the world, the question is which match are they looking forward to the most? And I'd be foolish to think that like people from around the world are going to be most anticipated on that card for Will Ospreay versus Shingo. Because again,
yeah.
they've done it a few times, but this is the first time they're doing it outside of Japan. And
Mm,
I think they've had maybe 3 or 4 singles matches.
yeah,
Only that first one, which is the Best Super Juniors final, that's the only one that was in front of a crowd. So this will be the second one in front of a crowd because all the
you
other ones
right.
happened during the pandemic.
You right. You right. Yeah.
So although like I was happy being the main event of this York one, I think it should be us then them.
Okay.
I think it should be heavyweight title then Will and Jingle. And I'm fine with that.
That
I've put my
that
ego aside.
that's big. That's
That's it.
big of you to say that, like, you know what I'm saying, to have that sort of perspective, like as far as like people from, people traveling from, across the world to come into London, because I kind of look at it like the same thing. It's like I had remember one time I had interviewed Shane Hayes, who's wrestling in New Japan. He's
Mm.
part of TMDK, and I was asking him why he wasn't on WWE they had like a big stadium show in Australia. I think it was Super Showdown, and I asked
Super
him
sure. Yeah.
why he wasn't on that show, and why him and Mikey Nichols weren't on that show, and he was kind of like in the mindset of like, yeah, of course it would have been cool to be on the show, but he's like, when you having this big stadium show, he said he was like 95% sure that most of the audience wanted to see, like, so they want to see the Cenas, the Lashleys, the people that they don't like. It's like, yeah, okay, those are guys, they're from Australia, yay, woo, you know what I'm saying? But they want to see
Yeah.
the big names that they regularly don't get to see in person. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they I kind of, that's why I say I kind of understand where you coming from and what you said about I mean, you know, said like Oscar and Shingo, they, you know, they've done this dance, you know, quite sometimes, and all the matches are great. I'm the, you know, saying let's get first and foremost, all the matches are always great between those two. But you said it's the first time they're doing it outside of Japan. Got all these people coming in, you know, they want to see this big match, and that's probably going to be the thing that they probably most anticipating from like a global perspective, if that makes sense. But like I do think that there's going to be a nice portion of people who are going to be excited about your journey in this, you know, this overall no, lead up to the Copper Box show. And like just speaking on that, man, like Copper Box, that's like I think it's about like 6,000 to 7,000 people, depending on how you like seat it, like depending on whether it's like a concert venue or like a basketball or like half of it. The area it's somewhere in that range between 6,000 and 7,000 people. Like you I know you guys got Mickey James making her debut. Of course, we got the Osprey Shingo match. You got Zack Sabre Jr. defending I think the NJPW World TV title against Ricky Knight Jr. You got I mean against who is the defendant? Defending against Ricky Knight Jr. He got Big Tom
Yeah.
Ishii versus Luke Jacobs and stuff like that. I think Kosei Fujita coming
Gonna be
in.
crazy.
Like talk to me about like sort of the just the overall confidence. I know you can't like speak directly for Andy Quildan, but like just talk to me about like the confidence to feel like, man, I know that the people are going to show out for us, and I know we could pack this thing out because I mean the card is looking good, man. And I like you said, it's the biggest RevPro show that y'all have done to date, and I'm pretty sure that takes that's a big leap of confidence, man, to have in your overall talent group and then in your promotion overall to be like, and I know we could take this thing head on, and I know we could do a good number in here, and then I think that shows confidence in you guys, the roster that he's sort of, you know, the regulars within RevPro that he's put together as well to feel like, man, I know with this group of people, I know that we could pack this thing out.
I think that's what you're going to see. I think every match will feature a Rev Pro wrestler, and it's weird that you don't even really can say that. Like some people won't even look at that with Will versus Shingo, but like when it comes down to it, Will is a
Yeah,
British wrestler that came
yeah.
from Rev Pro. So that's the Rev Pro match. Shingo's wrestled a couple of times. He wrestled me at Rev Pro, you know. So he's a Rev Pro. He's been in Rev Pro before, so it's not two people that are alien to Rev Pro that will be main eventing. Um, I think every match will have at least one Rev Pro wrestler in it, and it's like you said. I feel that Andy, it's a big gamble, but I don't think Andy thinks it's like a
Like this far,
unwise one.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's what you said. He said it a few times that he believes that he's got one of the deepest rosters that he's ever had, even deeper than during the boom. I think during that boom period, Andy was relying way more on imports
mm,
to pop the houses and stuff like that. But he has created such a good selection of guys that can like go between like opening match to mid card to main event. We can all swap around that and create a compelling stories with those people that he does think that like yes on the weekend where there are tens of thousands of fans coming in from around the world that he can fill out the Copper Box Stadium, the Copper Box Arena. Like the tickets sold at the moment, I know that it's already now the most people going to a RevPro show in history. I think it's
mm,
nearly 3,000. I think it's being configured for 6,000.
yeah,
But like, yeah, that's just me. I don't know what Andy's looking for in terms of business side. I feel
yeah,
like 4,000 would be a huge win,
yeah.
a
But
huge victory. Get
if
4,000.
y'all
So
already broke the record, like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, it's done. Yeah, it's done. But yeah, it's one of the things. I don't want it to be like it looks like there's gaps in the arena, but I want it to be as packed as possible. And there'll probably be like last minute buys of people. I think it's like payday that weekend, and then some people will think, "Oh, I'm in town. I might as well go see these guys." So would there is us relying on that, but at the same time, I think there's a confidence from Andy. I know from myself that everyone who goes will leave more than satisfied. And hell, I'll say it. I I think what my goal is in a completely healthy competitive sense is for the weekend to be over and for people who went to both shows to be wondering which show is better. I
Mm.
don't think it will be a foregone conclusion that the AEW show will be better than the RevPro show. So I know everyone on that card is going to give it all their all to compete in that sense and leave people being like, "Whoa, yes, we came from a different side of the world for for AEW, but
Mm,
Revolution Pro Wrestling is something we're going to need to keep our eyes on in the future.
mm. I like that. I think that's the way you should go into the match because I mean it couldn't be, knowing that these like abundance of people are flying in from X, Y, and Z across the world to come see this particular show, but also it's like, hey man, we got something special over here too. I think that y'all should check it out, and I think that's a healthy mindset to have. Like instead of being like, oh man, everybody just coming to see this one thing. Like I think that is a very healthy mindset to have. But like also, I wanted to talk to you about like you've also done some stuff like you done a variety of different things this year, man. I wanted to talk to you about I think you debuted for wXw Germany early this year.
Yes,
That was your in-ring debut for them. Like I know you had a world title match in your second match for
that was the
WXW.
first.
That was your first match that you had a your world title, man. So somebody got the juice in his Zooms in the Zoom chat, man. It ain't me. You know what I'm saying? So somebody got some pull around here. But like talk to me about your WXW debut, the matches you had there, and is it sort of everything that you imagined it would be when that opportunity eventually came?
It's very cool. It's very cool. You talk about the top promotions in Europe, and WXW is right up there with RevPro, with the OTTs of the world. That's one that I was like, it's a bit odd that I haven't
Yeah,
touched there yet.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't, made a stop there. So we finally like made things happen just this year, and like it's nearly felt like a perfect, I don't say partnership. As soon as I went there and wrestled there for the first time, I won over the crowd. I didn't know if I would. I have confidence in my ability as a
Right.
wrestler, but then sometimes it's one thing to just have confidence in your ability, and then confidence in your ability
Connect.
to get over and
Yeah.
to connect with the fans. And I did that after the one match. It was a four-way with the champ at the time, Irie. And people were just leaving again, new faces, people who hadn't heard of me or hadn't seen me wrestle, seeing me wrestle the first time. They're like, we want more of him. And then was able to do two more shows for WXW. I did a Frankfurt show the day before the York Hall show, and that was one of the best matches I've had all year with
Mm.
Aigle Blanc, who's a French wrestler who's now in All Japan. He's wrestling for All Japan right now.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I that's a match that I'm so happy with, and I'd hear everybody to check it out. They've got a service on YouTube, but also I think it's on the network
I
right
think
now
it's
as
like
well. That show
WXW
to watch.
now. I think that's what it's called.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. So yeah, check that out or check that show out on the network, and it's been going really well. Like I think I feel like I'm nearly essentially officially a WXW roster member. So I want more of this to happen. I've got two shows booked in with them. So August the 12th,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I've got one the day before the couple bucks as well.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
for
yeah, yeah. I don't know what's wrong with me.
so you packing it in tight right there, man. Let's say back to
I
back
know.
to Germany. Yeah, that's what's up, man. Booked and busy, booked and busy. But I wanted to ask, like, so you talk about WXW Germany. Like, I'm kind of, I mean, you did say that you was kind of surprised that it not like in a cocky way, but like you would think it would eventually happen at some point. Like, do you think that maybe 2024 you'll be in 16 karat?
That's kind of the goal. Yeah, in fact, that's specifically that is the thing that I'm hoping to be in. I've done a lot of these big tournaments now. The J Cup I'd hold up there really in high regards in terms of its prestige. Um, of course, bowler was
There
what
you
I
go.
did
Yeah.
earlier this year. So yeah, when I now that I'm in the fold of WXW, the goal for there is to do 16 carat because again, there's like a list of people that have been a part of it, let alone that won it, and I just want to be part of that list of people that have been in the tournament for sure.
I say you gonna be in the I know you mentioned that you got the show coming up in August. That's the shortcut to the top. That's like it's like a battle
Yeah.
royal, right? That's what that
Yes,
is.
I believe
Okay,
it is.
yeah, it's like a battle royal
Yeah.
that you're gonna be a part of it. But like I was thinking about that. A WWE commentator gonna be in that thing. I did not like I had saw that the other day. It's like one of the commentators. I think he's a German commentator for WWE.
Oh, the
He's
German
yeah.
commentator.
He's been working there. Dude, he's been like working there for like 15 some years. And like I think he had retired like back in like 2013 or something like that. So he like I saw they had like a video package for him and stuff like that. And I was like, I was kind of more surprised they like because it's rare when you see like somebody that's like I'm assuming he's contracted WWE for this long. to like do like outside
Mhm.
stuff. Like I think the last time that happened was when at Nakamura when he wrestled Muda at the New
Yeah.
Year's Day show. It was January. So like it was just like when I saw that, I was like, well, that's interesting. So that I think that'd be cool for the people to see. But like you been making your way around, man. Like I saw on your Twitter that you are going to be on the 2024 Chris Jericho cruise. So that's cool, man. I'm gonna ask you, did that come about after your appearance? Like did that opportunity get presented to you after your appearance on Talking Jericho because you were a featured guest on that show, on that podcast?
Yeah. It was after. I don't know what it wasn't like directly after. Some time had passed, so it wasn't like, oh, hey, he spoke to me like after we like, went offline off air. It just it was literally an email that just came through. An email that came through, and I was like, no, no.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, let's go, let's do this, let's get on this, let's get on this boat. I was very much happy to be part of the cruise and just like, you wrestle him, you be on his podcast, and now I'm on the cruise. He must be a fan. He must have won him over, which is cool, which is crazy because that's it. It's I always say to everybody knows for me, it's The Rock and it's Chris Jericho. Those are
Mm,
the two
mm,
that I am a wrestler, that they're my favorite ever before I even thought about being a wrestler. They just those are the two. So
yeah.
to have to have so many uh moments and to have a connection with Chris Jericho is insane. Like I think the most surreal moment on the podcast was at the very beginning. He said, "Yeah, so we wrestled. We just met for the first time, and now we're going naturally we're going to be best friends for life." And I was like, "You don't, you just threw that out there, but you don't know what you just said."
Like it's so crazy like how fast time moves like it was just it seems like it wasn't that long ago when you guys did that whole thing at Bola, and then you did the podcast, and then now here we are talking about the copper box, and then like I really feel like in no time like that cruise is probably gonna be here like just like it's insane how fast this year is moving, and then it's also like it's saying like just speaking about you specifically how much that you have been able to get done over these 8 months, 7 months. Like it's kind of crazy. Like I had asked, I think I've asked you this in every interview that we've done, but like but now that we have this context of like what you've done this year, is it like have you like had the time to like just be like this shit is crazy, or like has things just been just constantly on the move?
Yeah, yeah. I try my best. I try my best to stop and be like, wow, this is actually happening. For each and everything, I'm just like, wow, this is happening. There are so many moments throughout my entire wrestling career. I'm like, if I legit, not just as a turn of phrase, if I retired tomorrow and I just said, oh, my career's over, I'm not,
All right.
that would be a cool thing. That would be a cool thing. And then there's more things keep happening and be like, wow, what a career I've had. If I did retire tomorrow, knock on wood. But even if I did, I shouldn't be sad because yes, oh my gosh, there's so much more for me to do and there's so much more I want to do. But if I step back and like, whoa, I did this. I've actually wrestled Chris Jericho. I've done this. I've done this match with Osprey. I've done run everything in RevPro. All these things. I'm like, oh, I can step back and be happy. The most surreal thing about the heavyweight title keeps I think about the lineage, and I sometimes say it out loud, or I just in my head I just say AJ Styles. I just say that out of nowhere, just like AJ Styles has
Yeah.
won this belt. That's what is crazy to me. So yeah, I do try my best to smell the roses and take time to appreciate where I'm at, and that I feel real fortunate every day that I'm in wrestling.
So this coming, I think this coming October, man. I saw Impact Wrestling is coming over to the UK, and I saw you got a little interaction. Josh Alexander, I think he, he called I think he called you out like in a nice way, a very respectable way. He tagged you on Twitter and was like, y'all had some unfinished business. I think y'all was supposed to wrestle. Y'all supposed to wrestle at the Mark Hitchcock SuperCon WrestleCon Super Show. That's a whole thing right there. The WrestleCon
Yeah.
Super Show. Yeah, y'all was supposed to wrestle that day, but he had the injury, right? Like that was before, like that match was supposed to happen before he had the injury, he had to relinquish the Impact World Title, all that stuff. I mean, if it were to have like how interested would you be in the idea of that finally having that match with Josh Alexander? And also, I'm pretty sure there's some other prospects in Impact Wrestling that you probably would be interested in having a match with, or will be interested in having a match with you. I would like to see a match between you and Alex Shelley. I'd like to see you and Speedball running back. And I actually had I was gonna mention that next. Like I think I know y'all had some previous encounters before. Like I think it would be like a lot of cool like dynamics that you could have, maybe some tag team stuff that would be interesting. Like I could see something along the lines of like you, Shelly, Saban, and Kushida against another another four group team or 4 person team and stuff like that. It's a lot of
Yeah,
interesting dynamics that could exist in the idea of a impact slash RevPro collaboration or just any mix up of the sort.
I just thought of a 4-person team: me, Robbie X, man like Darius, and Leon Slater.
Oh
You
my
get
goodness.
us
Oh, versus
for
the impact. Oh yeah. That's cool.
that's the Impact guys.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, yeah, like yeah, they're coming to UK, and it's cool that like one of their top guys, who was I think he was like officially the longest reigning Impact champion.
Yeah.
Like he was just outright saying, I think the tweet was "Come at me, OJMO and Leon Slater." So we're the two. We're the two that he knows. You know, if you're coming to the UK and you want to test yourself, we're the two that you wanna call out. And like you said, yeah, it was that injury happened and stopped that match from happening between me and Josh. And he was world champ at the time, and it would have been a really cool thing if me wrestling the Impact World Champion. I think he remembers that, and I definitely do. We had in Dallas, we had a big 6-man at the Mark Hitchcock Super Show.
Yeah.
So we interacted there, and I remember after that, I'm like, I want to wrestle Josh
Yeah.
Alexander on a singles. So the fact that it nearly happened, it's like, oh, but didn't. I was like, real frustrating. But here he is. He's coming to the UK. He's coming to my home country. He wants to wrestle me.
Yeah, he say
Oh,
he called you out. he
yeah,
called you out.
he's the
Yeah.
one. It's not like just me being like one of the desperate people being like, please, I want to wrestle like that. It's him calling me out, and that's wonderful. So
Yeah.
hey, if we can make it happen, let's make it happen for sure.
And let's say I had mentioned it, and I wanted to make sure I came back to it. Dude, you had a match against Speedball Mike Bailey. I think it's for West Coast Pro. Like no bullshit. Like that was one of my like I try to keep like the matches that I like. I always try to like jot them down like in my little iPhone notes. I've been like making a habit of that for like the past two years. I think like to just like but that like stuff that I like. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's like varying different promotions, like I just make sure to jot it down and stuff like that. That was one of the ones that I had listed after I finished watching it. I think that was like shortly after Mania week. Like that was like a week after WrestleMania in Los Angeles. I think you and Mike Bailey, y'all had a really great match again for West Coast Pro. It just seemed like you and Speedball, like y'all understand like each other's tendencies and like placement and positioning in the ring. Like it seemed like y'all have like a very good understanding of each other's like move set and like what each other likes to do and like where you would like certain individuals to be like positioned and like okay, let's slow it down here and let's take it up here and then like we can go to the aerial stuff and then we can slow it back down and it just seemed like y'all have like a very like just good understanding of one another without having to like I'm assuming that y'all had some type of communication beforehand, but it just seemed like y'all could just go out there and just like I get you, you get me, and let's make it work. Like I'm curious to like just hear from your perspective because it does seem like you and Speedball like just have like just good chemistry in the ring.
I 100% credit Speedball Mike Bailey for me starting to have great matches. He
Mm,
was the guy who gave me the blueprint of how to look at wrestling matches because the going thing, as you'll know, he was pretty much a regular here in the UK
yeah,
for a while. And the running joke was that you can try as hard as you want, but if you're on the card with Speedball Mike Bailey, he's having the best match of the show. So it made sense to me to, in the infancy of my career, to go to him and say, well, let me ask that guy for advice on how to have better matches. And he gave me the blueprint of how he approaches matches and how to approach putting my own moves together. Because as well, like if I look at my move set, it really hasn't changed in the last 5 years, really. But what's changed is learning how to perfect where to put them and at the right time of a match. And I guess it's match psychology, and that's what he taught me, his philosophy on match psychology. So when you say that, like, it seemed like we just click, it's mostly because when he's giving me feedback, and it's detailed feedback, it's from him seeing a lot of my matches, as well as me wrestling the way he's advised me to wrestle. So when we come together, and that was our second singles match, it's just like, okay, we both know each other's stuff, and we both are on the same wavelength of how we like to pace our wrestling matches. So let's let's go for it. We, like you said, we know exactly where to be for each other's stuff. We trust each other, and he's incredible. He has a claim to say he's the best wrestler in the world right now for sure. So that match, again, it was the week after Mania Week in San Francisco. I hold that really in high regard. Again, in terms of showing me to a new audience, to people who had never seen me before, and connecting with them because of that match. That's something that, like, I'll always be grateful to the Speedball. So
I'm about to say that was that was like a great like lineup on that show too. Because I think if I remember, I think Brian Keith wrestled Jordan Oliver. I think after y'all,
yes, he
and
did.
that was a
Yes,
great
he
match
did.
too. Like I like so that was
Mhm.
a that was a nice lineup right there. But like this kind of like a retrospective question I kind of have for you. Like talk to me about like the mindset of Michael Oku going into the British Cruiserweight Championship reign and how you attack that versus where we are now as the undisputed British Heavyweight Champion and your mindset as you embark on this championship reign and how just the differences and maybe even the similarities like in your mindsets like but between both of those two championship runs and how you are approaching both.
So I would say that they are fairly similar in the sense of, like, um when I won the cruiserweight title, I had it in my mind, like, so it was the night that Will Ospreay won the British heavyweight title,
I remember
and
that.
it was
Yep.
the night that Giselle Shaw won the women's championship. And because that's Ospreay finally becoming the heavyweight title, and no at that point of, like, oh, one day I'm going to win the heavyweight title. Not really at that point. I was very much fully consumed in, okay, weight classes. This is the cruiserweight title, and again,
Yeah.
the victory felt so momentous for winning the cruiserweight title that it felt like a main title. And I've spoken to you about it when I was champ, like how important I wanted to treat that title and see it as a main title. And I think that became the case by the fact that as cruiserweight champion, I main evented so many shows. And if there wasn't a Will Ospreay, because he had New Japan commitments, well, sometimes there were times where he was on the card. I would still close out the show, and I was relied upon to be able to do that if need be. That was something that I took a lot of pride in. And of course, people, like, a small, like, asterisk or small note on the match that I had with Will at York Hall is the fact that I was cruiserweight champion at the time, and so that's a thing that, like, it may be a small thing that people forget, but I always remember that because, like, well, this is supposed to be, like, when you think cruiserweight title, you think, like, it's a little title that's over there. It's mid card at best. People do
Yeah.
some things, and then everybody goes wow, and then they move on to the next thing. But for it to be like the person who's the champ, we believe he can be the guy and the number one guy. That's what I took pride in, and because I was able to do that with the cruiserweight title, it then made it important when I lost it. And I think that's another thing
Mm.
that I think is important for when you're having a title reign. If the fans, the fans caring about you winning is great, but they should also care about you losing or care about the person who defeats you. And that's what happened when Luke Jacobs beat me in his hometown, Manchester. The crowd was electric, and it was like a news story that that my record title reign was over, essentially. So, and that's the pride that I had in terms of making sure that cruiserweight title was strong. So with the heavyweight title, I kind of want a similar thing. It's not that it has to be a record long reign. It's not that it has to do a record number of defenses, but it's that it needs to still be held in high regard and
Yeah.
seen as an important thing
People need to care.
while I'm having it. People need to care, and they care. I want they care about me, and I hope they care about it. So again, when it's my time and I lose it, that people care that I've lost it. People care who the next champion is. So that's kind of the mindset that I have, just making sure that I leave the championship better than how I found it.
That's one of the things in wrestling that I wish like a lot of people like sort of realized a little bit is that when it comes to championships specifically, like dude, just because somebody has a long title reign doesn't necessarily mean that people care about it, or just because they defend it. Like you can have a successful 5 month run as champion. Like I'm talking about just anybody. Like they can have a very memorable, successful run, even if it was short. Like one, like just for you know, like I can't say it like think, but like just somebody that comes to mind. It's like when just because I've heard him say it on interviews and stuff. It's like when Cardona talked about winning the Intercontinental title. I'm gonna be honest with you, like if that was like a long reign, I like me watching, I probably don't think I would have cared. But like he had that one singular moment at WrestleMania when he got the belt and the crowd was losing and then he lost it the next night. But all people remember is that moment that he had, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a moment now. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
like,
can't take it away from
and that's not gonna be everybody. Like there are a lot of examples of people having very long, successful title runs in major companies and on the independents. Like that's very much a thing. But like the idea that if your title reign isn't like this 2 year drawn out thing, like it's not a success. Like that's could be like furthest from the truth. There are like very different ways to have, well, in terms of like what we as individuals and the public define as success. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. But like before we get out of here, Michael did something like I think probably is the most important question that I'm gonna ask you, and we had talked about it. We talked about it a abundance of times, but I think this was a very prevalent topic during our first interview because I think this was like around the time like we were talking about just a lot of like representation stuff and like seeing more black people in wrestling and stuff like that, and like how that was like even 3 years ago, like we were talking about like the varying differences between like where we are then and then like even getting to speak to you last year, talking about where we were at that specific point, like where we are right now. Like you seeing guys like you mentioned, like Leon Slater and like man, like the Reese is making his way coming up. I know those dudes like they killing it right now in the UK Indies. Just talk to me about like how things have improved so much for black talents and how it's seeming like specifically speaking on the UK end, it seemed like it's like just from a viewer's point, it seems like things are starting to pick up a little bit, and I'm just noticing how like even just from the last conversation we had or the previous one before that, it's like the excitement that you had in those conversations in terms of like recognizing the amount of like opportunities that have come to black talents and like just seeing like the ones that are like what I'm saying, picked it up, man, and like just seeing a lot of different individuals and the diversity that is like that just come within the space overall versus like in 2020 where you again like let me make sure I clarify that you not like you weren't excited about it, but it was just like you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like exactly where one would hope. But now, like it seems like things are really picking up, and I just want to hear from your perspective overall, like, and how proud are you to be one of the what sort of the front man, I should say, in terms of in this generation of black talents that are making their way and just solidifying themselves as like, man, I'm one of them ones, man. Like I'm here.
That's it. It feels like right now, if you are a talented wrestler and you are black, you will get your flowers. You
Mhm.
will if you have the ability, you will be presented to the as high as possible. And I think that's the biggest statement I can make. And you mentioned all these talented wrestlers, all these talented black wrestlers, and ones that are on the come up as well as ones that are on top. It it really does feel like, all right, all I have to do is just work hard, and the talent is finally shining through. Where there was a point where it felt like it doesn't seem like doesn't
Yeah.
seem like that's the case. It seems like it might be like one at a time at most. But it now seems like people can see that there's room for us all to eat at the same time from the same table.
Mm,
It can all there's space for us all, and there's no one kind of restricting us, or it doesn't feel like that like we can get to a certain point. There's like a ceiling on our limit. When like we talk about that, like Josh Alexander in that tweet, you know, He wasn't thinking, oh, I'm gonna mention two black wrestlers to get brownie
Yeah.
points. He was like, I'm gonna mention the two wrestlers that I know are doing the most, and they just happen to be
Pretty black. Yeah.
black.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we've been fighting for this whole time. It's just the opportunity to succeed, to be seen at the highest level, and it feels amazing that we're at that point. We talk about the weekend that I won the title, the week that I won the title. There was so much happening
Man.
in the US. Crazy celebration happening on Twitter.
Yeah.
like with just the amount of talented black wrestlers up and down in AEW to
Yeah.
MLW that were just winning. We were just winning and everybody was just happy. And it was just like this is refreshing. I think and it wasn't I don't think it was not I don't think it wasn't a directive of like, okay,
Yeah, bro.
this
That all just lined up. Like that was you,
it,
Leon,
yeah,
Ricky,
yeah,
Willow. I think Trinity won the knockouts title that same like that.
yes.
Bro, and the crazy thing was that shit was all like within like a 2 day time span. Like maybe not even that. I think like that all happened like within like the same like like day or like 24-hour time span. Like that like everything happened at that point, which was crazy. Like all that cool stuff. Like it was like Trinity got the knockouts title. You got your world title win. Leon had a big moment. Ricky won the Owen Hart Cup. Willow won the Owen Hart Cup. And it was like, look at all this. Alice Kane won the MLW World Heavyweight Championship.
Yes.
Like, and again, I think you hit on a very valid point. It's not like a directive. It's like, dude, it's like everybody that's like having these big moments are just hella talented and they just so happen to be black. You know what I'm saying? Well, which is cool in itself, but like it wasn't like some orchestrated thing for I'm talking about for either individual that we speaking about. It just seemed like the right time at the right place, and they were the right people. You were the right person to have this moment at this time, and it just so happened that you just had like a great moment on a day in a 24-hour time span. A lot of other black wrestlers just had they great moments. You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly. It wasn't some kind of there wasn't like some kind of special day. It wasn't Black History Month where people are like, oh, we feel pressure. We got. It just happened. It just happened, and I think that's one of the biggest signs of how things are going at the moment. The fact that you could just step back and just see all these victories, and it's a lot of meddling that are getting these
yeah.
victories was just a real nice heartwarming thing.
For sure, man, for sure. But Michael, I always appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, man. You're always gracious, very, very gracious with your time. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I like how we always can like differentiate the conversations that we have. Like it's always like a variety of different topics and stuff that we talk about. I make sure that we try not to touch on the same stuff. Like, and it always seems like we always have like varying things to like bounce off of and stuff like that. So definitely appreciate you taking your time, my brother. Man, please plug your socials, man. Let the people know what's going on. Of course, they know you got the upcoming title defense against Trent Seven, Copper Box Arena, Revolution Pro Wrestling 11th anniversary show. Big matches, big talents on the show. Let the people know about that before we head on out.
Yeah, at the OJMO for all my social media. MichaelOku.com for merch is shipped worldwide. So please jump on that and see merch that you might like. I'll get that straight to you no matter where you are in the world. And then I'll do a big push for Revolution Pro Wrestling's 11th anniversary show. RevolutionProWrestling.com. Buy the tickets there. We want to get as many people in that building as possible to celebrate the company, the scene, and just professional wrestling. So come see me wrestle Trent Seven. Come see Will Ospreay versus Shingo. If you haven't seen it live in person, this will be your chance to do that. We've got Ishii, we have Mickey James, and we've announced 5 matches. There are 5 more to go. There are more matches. There are more people to come, and you will not be disappointed, and you will be surprised with some of the names that we have in store for you. So get those tickets. Come down if you're down in town, and that's the main one. RevolutionProWrestling.com for all your professional wrestling needs.
There you go. The Mickey James announcement that's a sleeper one right there, man. Like, but I think it's mainly because Mickey's still wrestling. Like she's still like active, but like,
Right.
but that's a whole ass legend right there, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, like
100%.
Mickey been in the game for like a good 20 some years. You know what I'm saying? Like she
Yeah.
Mickey, I think Mickey stamped herself like years ago. Like she really is like one of the staples like within wrestling. Period. Like I definitely like so somebody you would consider amongst that legend S tier, like for sure. Like and that was a real cool announcement to say. I think it's her debut for RevPro. So that's
Yeah,
cool that they finally
first
that's
match
cool that they
RevPro.
finally
So
make it
that's really
happen.
cool.
You don't know who she might face though. You never know. You never know who
Who
might come.
knows?
You never know who might come up, man.
Who
You never
knows?
know. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm Andrew
Who knows?
Thompson at the Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. I'm signing off with the RevPro Undisputed British Heavyweight Champion, former Cruiserweight Champion, former Tag Team Champion in Revolution Pro Wrestling. Maybe 2024 16 karat gold winner.
Ooh,
You never
we'll
know.
see. We'll see.
You never know. Maybe
We'll see.
future WXW Unified World Wrestling Champion. You never
You
know.
just never know
You
at
never.
this point. And then we'll have to do another interview. We'll do interview number 5. Or are we doing it in London? Are we
Hey,
doing number 5 in London? You
hey,
know, we found a reason.
hey, look, no spoilers. No spoilers.
No
We
spoilers.
don't,
Okay,
no.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I'm not saying where you are. I'm just saying where I am. And if you want to come down, we can do an in-person one, number 2, but number 5 in total.
Number 5. Hey, look, man. Yeah. Look, you might see some of my YouTube channel like on around the 26, 27. You never know. You never. You might see a little notification pop up. You know what I'm saying? We might be side by side in some chairs or something like that. Hey, with the mics in the hand, you never know. I ain't making no promises though. And he ain't making no promises either. He just speculating. Speculatory stuff right here, man. Who your source? Who your source, Michael Oku? Don't be out here put out no false information, man.
No, not me. Never. No, please.
But ladies and gentlemen, I'm Andrew Thompson and Andrew Thompson Interviews YouTube channel. Signing off with the man himself, Michael Oku. We are out. Peace.